Cameron Highlands by-election on 26th January. Rosmah Mansor maintains not guilty plea. Hello and good evening. I'm Mohana Priya. Welcome to News on 2. The Election Commission today announced that a by-election will be held for the Cameron Highlands parliamentary seat on 26th January 2019. EC Chairman Azhar Azizan Harun said that nomination will be held on 12th January and early voting on 22nd January.
Hari penamaan calon ialah pada 12 Januari 2019, hari Sabtu. Hari mengundi awal ialah pada 22 Januari 2019, hari Selasa, dan hari mengundi ialah pada 26 Januari 2019, hari Sabtu. Tempoh berkempen yang ditetapkan adalah 14 hari, bermula pada hari penamaan calon sehingga pukul 11.59 malam 25 Januari 2019.
Azhar Azizan said this at a press conference after chairing a meeting on the by-election. In addition, he said the electoral rolls verified up to the third quarter of 2018 will be used for the by-election. The constituency has 32,009 registered voters, comprising 31,750 ordinary voters, 247 early voters and 12 absentee voters. The Commission targets a voter turnout of 70% for the by-election. At the same press conference, Azhar Azizan also announced that for the first time in history, the vote counting process will be broadcast live to the public on the Election Commission's social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. The live streaming, however, will only be carried out at a selected voting stream based on location suitability and internet connection.
Live telecast itu adalah satu inisiatif SPR dan juga pihak sekretariat untuk membuat proses pengiraan undi lebih telus dan untuk juga create awareness di pihak umum tentang proses pengiraan undi. Kita cuma membuat percubaan hanya di satu saluran, infrastruktur broadband dan internet mungkin agak terhad di Cameron Highlands, tetapi insya-Allah di masa hadapan mungkin kita akan lebihkan lagi.
According to Azhar Azizan, the EC will also release the early voting results subject to confirmation through the EC's official website and the display screen at the Vote Tally Centre. The Commission will also extend the voting period, which starts from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. as compared to the previous closing time of 5 p.m. The number of ballot boxes at polling stations will also be increased to 3 boxes compared to 2 in all previous general elections. Now, the EC also announced that candidates would be able to fill in their forms early once the deposits have been paid. EC Chairman Azhar Azizan Harun said candidates can check the forms earlier to ensure there are no discrepancies and will only hand over the forms to EC on nomination day. According to Azhar Azizan, the change will also give time for any party to make last-minute changes on the candidate if the first choice fails to meet the required criteria.
Kita menggesa agar calon-calon semasa pergi membayar deposit mengambil borang pencalonan dan diisi di situ juga ataupun diisi kemudiannya dan dibawa kembali kepada pejabat untuk diberikan kepada pegawai SPR supaya pegawai SPR dapat menyemak, dan itu akan menyenangkan proses penamaan calon dan hanya membuat proses penamaan calon pada hari penamaan calon itu semua satu formality.
The EC is also offering any non-governmental organizations or any other bodies which are interested in becoming observers to monitor the process beginning from nomination day until the counting of votes. The last day to send in applications as observers is 31st December. Former Prime Minister's wife Datin Sri Rosmah Mansor, who is facing 17 counts of money laundering and failing to declare her income involving more than 7 million ringgit to the Inland Revenue Board, maintained her not guilty plea to all the charges in the Kuala Lumpur High Court today. Datin Sri Rosmah, 67, nodded to all the charges that were read out by the court interpreter, and when asked for her plea, claimed trial to all the charges. The case came up for mention for the first time in the High Court before Judge Mohammad Zaini Mazlan today after it was transferred from the Sessions Court. Earlier, former Federal Court Judge Dato Sri Gopal Sri Ram, who has been appointed Senior Deputy Public Prosecutor and leading the prosecution team in the case, requested a new mention date for further case management. He said that on the date to be given by the court, the prosecution would make an oral application for the case to be tried together with another case facing Datin Sri Rosmah, where she is faced with 2 counts of receiving bribes totaling 1.5 million ringgit in the implementation of a project to supply and install solar energy at 369 rural schools in Sarawak 2 years ago. He also informed the court that the prosecution would submit all the documents on the case to the defence next month. The court set 25th January next year for mention. The Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court today adjourned a hearing of the government's application to extradite former Goldman Sachs banker Roger Ng to the United States to 4th January next year, as he was not present in court. Deputy Public Prosecutor Shukur Abu Bakar told the court that Ng, whose real name is Ng Chong Hua, 46, and is currently held at the Sungai Buloh prison, was not in court today due to a misunderstanding. On 1st November this year, Ng was detained by the police and was subsequently remanded for 60 days pending hearing of the extradition application. The High Court had on 13th December dismissed Ng's application to be released on bail pending the extradition hearing. On 12th December, the government had filed an application to extradite Ng to the US to face 3 criminal charges related to the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB. Ng was expected to be charged at 2:30 p.m. today at the Sessions Court on 2 charges under the Capital Market and Services Act 2007 involving 1MDB's case. The Kuala Lumpur High Court today set 30th January for case management of the Sultanah of Terengganu, Sultanah Nur Zahirah, against the founder and author of Sarawak Report, Claire Rewcastle-Brown, and 2 others in relation to defamation claims against the Terengganu Investment Authority, TIA, and Low Teck Joe, also known as Joe Low. The matter was informed by lawyer Vishnu Kumar, representing Sultanah Nur Zahirah, after the case management was heard today in the presiding judge's chambers, Dato Ahmad Zaidi Ibrahim. Under the writ of summons and claims statements, Terengganu's Sultanah Nur Zahirah has filed a 300 million ringgit defamation lawsuit against Sarawak Report editor Claire Rewcastle-Brown, a publisher and a printer, over claims made by the investigative journalist in her book on 1MDB that the Sultanah was allegedly linked to the fund and fugitive businessman Low Teck Joe, or Jolo. Rewcastle-Brown had said that Jolo was friendly with the wife of the Sultan of Terengganu, whose influences were needed to set up the fund, and he later cited her support as having been crucial to his obtaining the advisory level. Aside from Rewcastle-Brown, publisher Gerak Budaya Enterprise and printer Vinlin Press have been named in the suit. The Sultanah's legal team sent a letter of demand to Rewcastle-Brown in September, demanding that the journalist apologize within 8 days over the content of her book. A senior management officer of the Pilgrims Fund Board, or Tabung Haji, was ordered to be held in remand for 4 days to facilitate investigation by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, for alleged corruption. The remand order was issued today by Magistrate Shahwira Abdul Halim. According to a source at MACC, the suspect with the Datuk title was alleged to have received gratification in the form of a house renovation costing 400,000 ringgit from a contractor who was awarded a project costing 15 million ringgit by TH to carry out rebranding of TH branch offices. He was called up by MACC yesterday and was arrested at about 8:35 p.m. the same day. Last Sunday, the MACC detained another TH senior officer with the title Datin and was remanded for 5 days, starting from 17th December until this Friday. Another arrest was made on Monday involving a 34-year-old project manager to assist in the probe over the same case and had been remanded for 3 days, effective yesterday until tomorrow. A businessman in his 70s from Kuala Krai, Kelantan, lost 6.7 million ringgit to Macau scammers, impersonating a Johor court officer and a Johor contingent headquarters police officer. Now, the court officer called the victim and said he had a pending case involving the registration of a company in Johor. And although the victim said it was not true, the call was then transferred to the fake police officer who said his case was being investigated and he has to appear in court. Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Hasanuddin Hassan, in confirming this, said the victim was then told to make several transactions to the suspect's account in order to clear his name.
Itulah saya ingin nasihatkan pada semua netizen yang ada di sini, apabila terima benda-benda macam ni, maklumat macam ni, refer dulu kepada pihak kami polis ni ataupun refer dulu kepada relevant punya agensi. Jangan mudah sangat kena ataupun tertipu oleh mesin.
The case, the biggest this year involving the Macau scam syndicate, is being investigated under Section 420 of the Penal Code. Johor Criminal Investigative Department Chief SAC Kamaluddin Kasim today said police detained 21 individuals for involvement in illegal online gambling in 3 raids at eateries and a snooker centre in Pasir Gudang, Johor Bahru yesterday. The detainees comprised of locals, Indonesians and a Bangladeshi. In addition, SAC Kamaluddin said the raids were also conducted by police teams from the Sri Alam District Police Headquarters. Police seized, among others, 18 mobile phones, a bag and cash amounting to 1,522 ringgit and 60 Singaporean dollars. All those detained were aged from 21 to 65 and were taken to Johor Contingent Police Headquarters. The case is being investigated under Section 4, subsection A, Section B, 4, subsection BA and Section 6, subsection 1 of the Common Gaming House Act and Section 6, subsection 1C of the Immigration Act. Around 2,600 bottles and 15,500 tins of alcohol of various brands and 46,500 cartons of cigarettes were seized by the Johor Marine Police Southern Region 2 at a house in Indrapura, Kulai yesterday evening. Southern Region 2 Commander ACP Paul Q. Kon Chiang said all the items seized were believed to have been smuggled in from Indonesia for the local market. ACPQ said the case is being investigated under Section 135, subsection 1D of the Customs Act 1967. He said no suspects were at home during the raid. The premises is believed to be used for storing alcohol and cigarettes to cheat the authority.
Kita sedang siasatlah. Memang kita percaya either owner ataupun disewa lah. Tapi biasanya disewa. Tapi apapun kita akan siasat.
He said this in a press conference held at the Region 2 Marine Police Headquarters in Tampoi, Johor. Malaysia and Indonesia will work together to control the incoming of dogs into the country through the border. Deputy Health Minister Dr. Lee Boon Chye said those areas that have a huge potential to be affected by rabies disease would be the main focus of monitoring. Dr. Lee said that it was a little tough to control the incoming of dogs into the country. Therefore, it is important to cooperate with Indonesia to overcome this matter.
Memang ada kerjasama di antara Jabatan Kesihatan di Sarawak dengan pihak berkenaan di Indonesia untuk kerjasama bersama untuk kontrol. Sebab masalah rabies ini bukan setakat untuk Sarawak tetapi masalah juga di Indonesia.
The Deputy Minister said this after launching the Ministry's Innovation iStance Wheel at Putrajaya. Since the outbreak of rabies in Sarawak on 1st July last year, 16 people have been infected by the disease, with 15 deaths recorded, and the latest case was last 10th December. Dr. Lee, however, noted that about 1.3% of the dog population in Sarawak, estimated at about 300,000, have been given anti-rabies vaccination. He added that the Ministry is working closely with the Sarawak Veterinary Service Department in implementing the free anti-rabies vaccinations to prevent the spread of the disease. Coming up next, the economy remains stable at 4.7%. Don't worry. Economy economy will remain stable at a rate of 4.7% yearly for the first quarter until the third quarter of 2018. Speaking in Parliament today, Deputy Economic Affairs Minister Dr. Mohammad Razzi Majidin said the growth is driven by domestic consumption, which is supported by private consumption, which continues to strengthen.
Kestabilan ekonomi ini juga disokong oleh kepelbagaian sumber pertumbuhan ekonomi yang tidak terlalu bergantung pada mana-mana komoditi, sektor atau pasaran ekspor. Kadar pengangguran pula terus berada pada tahap guna tenaga penuh, iaitu pada kadar di bawah 4%. Manakala kedudukan inflasi terus terkawal dan menunjukkan trend penurunan kepada 0.6% pada bulan Oktober 2018.
Dr. Mohammad Razid said in order to ensure a sustainable economic growth towards a developed and inclusive country, the government also introduced socio-economic policies and initiatives in the mid-term review of the 11th Malaysia Plan to further strengthen the economic base and enhance the country's competitiveness. The government will also ensure that the economic growth is more beneficial to the people with an increase in purchasing power in line with the rising income. The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry is currently revising and discussing with relevant parties the idea of setting up kindergartens at detention centres. Its Deputy Minister, Hannah Yeoh, said the revision is made based on the conformity level.
Kita kena lihat dan bincang dulu dengan pihak berkuasa di tempat-tempat seperti ini sama ada sesuai atau tidak untuk membawa anak-anak masuk ke tempat tersebut.
Speaking in Parliament, Yeoh also noted that foreign national children will also be given the opportunity to enrol in these kindergartens if it is implemented. The Deputy Minister further added that her ministry will continue to strive in ensuring the welfare of the children whose parents are in detention centres are taken care of. Meanwhile, three ministries, namely the Water, Land and Natural Resources Ministry, Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Ministry and the Economic Affairs Ministry, have yet to set up childcare centres at their respective premises.
Melalui peruntukan bajet 2019, kementerian ini diberi tanggungjawab menguruskan peruntukan 10 juta yang disediakan kepada 50 buah taska di tempat bangunan kerajaan bagi menggalakkan penubuhan taska di tempat kerja akan bertambah dan menambahkan kapasiti kanak-kanak di taska di tempat kerja yang boleh mengurangkan kerisauan dan dilema ibu bapa untuk menghantar anak-anak ke taska.
The Deputy Minister further noted that the ministry had implemented several measures and initiatives to encourage public and private employers to provide childcare centres at their workplaces. She added that the ministry also encouraged the private sector to set up nurseries at workplace to provide opportunities for workers in the B40 group to send their children there. The ministry was also discussing with utility companies to reduce the tariff rates for childcare centres. The National Higher Education Fund Corporation, or PTPTN Chairman Wan Saiful Wanjan, today gave his assurance that the new method of repayment for PTPTN borrowers to be introduced soon will be more holistic, including to hardcore borrowers. He said PTPTN is in the midst of fine-tuning the mode of repayment to ensure it's fair to everyone.
B40 memang golongan yang sentiasa mendapat perhatian, golongan yang dipanggil tadi sebagai yang tak mau membayar secara tegar ni pun memang diberi perhatian oleh pihak PTPTN pun. Jadi semua ni kita akan ambil secara holistik lah.
On 7th December, Education Minister Dr. Mazli Malik announced that the repayment scheme will be suspended for the time being until PTPTN receives the collective inputs and feedback from all stakeholders. Malaysia will play host to the first Asia GT Festival as part of the 2019 China GT Championship from 15th to 17th March at the Sepang International Circuit. The first event in the series to be held outside China, the race will see the participation of over 30 GT cars from all around the world, all battling for a slice of the championship's 9 million renminbi or 5.45 million ringgit prize money pool. The inaugural event is a precursor to a 5-year deal between series organizer Golden Port Enterprises and Malaysian property developer Country Heights to host the race, with SIC to remain the venue throughout the duration of the partnership. Visitors can expect the usual purpose-built GT3 and GT4 machinery racing as part of the championship, as well as support races from the Malaysia Speed Festival. The latter will be adding races featuring the Proton Saga Cup, in which China GT races themselves will participate, and Race Car Open categories to the event, with the winners of the Race Car Open class in particular getting a chance to test for one of the China GT teams and the possibility of a race seat. Tickets for the Asia GT Festival are now available for purchase via either the Moto Nation Facebook page or its official website, with prices ranging from 20 ringgit to 350 ringgit. And that concludes this evening's News on 2. In our top story today, Cameron Highlands by-election on 26th January. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Mohana Priya. Thanks for watching.